And we've gotten great buzz, great reviews, but the sales weren't quite as robust as we were hoping. So we were kind of brainstorming what we want to do with that and how we can sort of help boost sales. And what was interesting is that after the conversation with the editor, the author and I started talking, and I said, you know what, we might need to start with some very basic thing. Let's take a look at the first 2 books in the series. Let's take a look at their metadata. One of the things that we were noticing is that the second book in the series, which had already been come out, was pretty high rankings on the Barnes & Noble and Amazon. And so we started to take a look at what was in the metadata for it. And it had the categories paranormal, paranormal romance, historical romance, and urban fantasy. And it was consistently selling in the top 100 and selling better than the first book in the series, which doesn't quite make sense. It's almost always the first book in the series that's going to sell better. So then we took a look at what the metadata was for the first book in the series, and then what the metadata was for the third book that was just hadn't released yet, but would soon be doing so. And we noticed that the categories were not matching; they weren't consistent. So I rang up the editor and I said, look, can we have the metadata be consistent for all the books in the series? We're trying to boost more sales. And as mentioned, for the first book, let's make sure it says urban fantasy like the second book does, because maybe that'll help give it a little bit more visibility, discoverability. And the editor says, like, okay, well, I'll talk to my team. You know, nothing happened. And so a couple of days later, send her another email. I say, sorry to harp on this, but can we, please do this? And by this point, I can tell she's starting to feel like I'm being a little bit of a pest. And finally, she's like, okay, fine. The day before yesterday, she sent me an email at the end of the day saying, okay, look, we fixed the categories. It now says these 5 things that you had requested. Yesterday morning, I got an email from the author with a snapshot. The first book in her series had hit the #1 position on Amazon and BN. Not 12 hours after we fixed the metadata.
So you're saying that would have way faster if you just managed?
Potentially. And one of the things that we do in our NLA Digital Liaison platform is we tweak metadata almost weekly. And I was talking with an editor, and she says, oh, we send our little metadata tags when we actually submit the contract. And that's the last time we do anything with metadata. And here's another good example. We had an author, this was 6 or 7 months ago, had an erotica novella, short form work. So we do something because erotica is kind of hot right now. And I said, hey, this is 6 or 7 months ago. Let's tweak that metadata. Let's put E.L. James and 50 Shades of Grey and Sylvia Day and Better to You in the metadata category and see what happens. Sales spike by 30% for that title. And so these are things that I'm hoping publishers will start learning and start doing more regularly, as well as authors who are self-publishing successful do a lot of content. They always do short-form content as well as long-form content. And let's say they're going to do 2 long-form content, so novels a year. They're doing at least 2 to 3 short content stuff in between. And they're doing stuff in a variety of different categories, not just in like parallel romance, whatever. They also might have contemporary romance. They're looking to see what's working. And then if something is more appealing to the audience, they move on that right away, and they start writing more in that. And that's another thing that I'm really hoping that publishers will learn in the future.